I believe we had Mr. Airon Armstrong back there. Is Airon still there? You coming? Airon, yeah. Okay, whoever's there, just come out. We'll announce them. I can't see around corners. There we go. We got Doug Tait, I believe. I saw him back there. Doug? Again, I can't see who's around the corner anymore, so you gotta just send him up. Hey, how are you? There we go. All right, we got Brad Loree from H2O. Brad, welcome up.
Hey, the guy with the video camera that I signed a release for, if they don't sign them, I don't want to sign them, so tear it up or give it back to me.
I signed it too, though.
And we got, sorry, who else? We got Michael Lerner, is he back there?
Testing, testing.
Please meet Brittany at the front entrance of Exhibit Hall A.
Oh, Lord.
Don Shanks, everyone. Don Shanks is here. And Courtney Myers. Sorry for the confusion there, gentlemen. You got enough chairs for everyone?
Don't hurt me.
I got another one here. I don't need one. And just don't forget to lean into your mics. We don't have the mic for everyone. I'm sorry. Round of applause for all of our Michael Myerses. I'll get into individual films with all of you, but I just have a question for the whole lot here. This group of men here has inspired a lot of nightmares among us. I can vouch for myself. It's kind of terrifying to be up here, but I was just curious, with you guys playing the role, do you ever take it home with you? Do you ever have a nightmare just about the work itself, and even if it's not specifically Michael?
No.
Oh, all right. Oh, got another one coming in.
Absolutely not. No nightmares.
No nightmares? Who do we got? I can't see that far. It's James, all right. James, you're funny, everyone. All right, then we'll start with you, Dick. We're just going to probably go right down the line here. You had already worked with John before on a couple of films. Did you kind of lobby for the role of Michael? Did they ask you to do it because they knew you were capable?
It cost me a lot of money.
Cost you a lot of money.
How many of you know the story already? Raise your hand. Most people in here already know. Do you want to tell it to each other or what? I can repeat it again. I met the producer and the director on Escape from New York with Kurt Russell, who I had the fortunate opportunity to double for 25 years, and it was because of him that actually I got the part. Because when that movie finished, Deborah Hill called me to be a stunt coordinator on part 3. Was it part 3? No, part 2. I forget, they all go together. Anyway, I went and met her, and she said, you got to meet the director, Rick Rosenthal, who's here, and you ought to get his autograph, by the way. So I had to meet him, and she said he's down at the end of the hall, and in the office down there. So I start marching down there, and these offices are empty. I guess they hadn't even really got into pre-production that much, and the last of the 3 offices had a desk, a chair, and the mask was laying on the desk. And she had told me about this movie. I had never seen part 1, but you know, the guy in the white mask. So I picked the mask up and I put it on, and I walked to Rick's door and just stood there and stared at him. And I just stared at him. He said, "Who are you?" And I just stared at him. He said, "Who the hell are you?" And I just started laughing, and I took the mask off, and I walked over, and we had our meeting, and as I was leaving, I turned to him with the mask in my hand. I said, "Is there any reason I can't play this guy?" He looked me up and down. He said, "I don't care if Deborah doesn't care." She said, "I don't care." So that's how I got the job. Right place at the right time.
And Don, you had 2 jobs on your film. You got to be you had 2 jobs on your film. You got to be Michael, and you were the Man in Black. Talk about that experience. Did you ever internalize what was going on with the Man in Black? Since they didn't
Well, I kept asking, and nobody seemed to know the answer. You know, it's like, okay, whatever. You know, I'd be seeing the house that we filmed in was an older house, but you could go out one door, come around, and come back in. And so, in the one scene, I go out as Michael, reach for the door, you see the tattoo, right? And then the Man in Black, they put the coat on me and the hat, and I walk out and you see the tattoo again. You know, and there was, you know, kicking the dog. I said, you know, if you kick a dog, everybody's gonna hate you. So that's what, they put that in the film too. But, I don't know, it was fun to do.
For James and for our other new Michaels, from the newest trilogy, talk about that unit that you guys had working together, collaborating. Like, how'd you guys work it out? Who did what as far as the stunts and, you know?
As far as, well, I mean, I'm blessed to have, you know, like these gentlemen all up here, to have had a career as an actor and a stuntman. So it's really, and you know, back in the day, I think, you know, Dick and you know, some of the guys will tell you that back in the day we were neither fish nor fowl. So you really didn't get the opportunity, you know, back in the 80s and the 90s to really explore yourself as an actor or really explore yourself as a stuntman if you were doing both. But now it's become more of a prized possession to be able to, you know, go deep and emote and to have the physical skills to do the stunts. Pretty much with these movies, for me, you know, being doubled on a stair fall in 18, jumping off the SUV in Kills, and then you know, Doug and Cody, and then in Halloween Ends, Airon Armstrong was doubling me, and that, you know, it was pretty much when I couldn't, like, for instance, they couldn't lose me on the stair fall. They hurt, and you can lose a guy in the middle of a show. When Doug jumped off the SUV, he sprained his ankle, and that's what they didn't want. They didn't want me to sprain my ankle. So, you know, I'm really grateful those gentlemen were there. Airon had figured out the way I move. One of the reasons is because of the many martial arts he and I have done. Aikido informs the way we move. It's a very unique way of moving. Very much.
Attention, anybody who has the drinks with Atkins tickets, please proceed to the Horrors Hollow Grounds booth for check-in and to pick up your glass.
Sean, keep it down.
And so, you know, and Halloween Ends, there were times I was in makeup for 4 hours, and so Airon would jump in, and having sort of mastered the way I move, he picked up a little bit of the fighting stuff and some of the other critical roles, you know, the refrigerator falling on his big legs, not mine. But, you know, basically, doing my own stunts was an honor and a privilege, and then also having these fine gentlemen there to, to keep me safe, which, at the end of the day, it's about the project, it's about the film, it's about how do we serve the film, how do we serve the director, how do we serve each other in making the best of it. Egos go out the window. We're just there to help and to work and to make things, as solid as possible. So, I think it's, I think it starts at the top. David Gordon Green is an amazing director. Hands down, probably the best director I've ever worked with, I think is saying something. But then the whole cohesive unit, the stunt crew, hair and makeup, special effects makeup, everybody was so committed to making the best possible project that we could make. And man, it just doesn't get any better than that. And I have to tell you guys that we, as a team, really cared about what the fans felt. We were really there for you guys because we knew how passionate you guys are, and everybody on that set had a Halloween story. And so for us, to you, we were in this sort of communal relationship with you that we were really, really dedicated to giving you the best that we possibly could. And we poured our hearts and souls into it. I want you all to know that.
And just to piggyback off what James was saying, I was also one of the stunt coordinators on Halloween Ends, and when I first came into the film, we worked on the end fight for weeks. And to his point, we really cared about the canon, and there were so many conversations about how we fit all of these moments into that end fight and really make it a meaningful and powerful fight for both of them. And there was never an issue, honestly, with our team. Everybody worked so well together. With the weight of the history of these films on our shoulders, it can be stressful at times, but we got along great. James kicked ass, as he always does. And then when I got to help and play Shape for the Corey character, the imposter Shape, we'll say, I had the weight of having all of these legends on this panel over my head, and then Jim literally standing over my shoulders at times, making me think about what I was about to do in that film. But I will say, for me on Ends, with Airon and with James, as a cohesive unit, it was amazing. These guys were so great to work with, and true professionals that don't just care about their craft, but really, really cared about the film and the history of the films.
Now let's go to you, Tyler. You killed Octavia Spencer. The last time we watched the movie, I'm like, what the? Wait a minute.
Yes, I did. I think technically I'm the only serial killer to kill an Oscar winner on this panel. So I'll take that. I'll take that.
Just talk about working with, because Rob likes to cast like the icons. He has his cast are loaded with guys that we see love at these conventions, and you're just out there murdering them all. What was that experience like for you? Like, is it just surreal because you're not really dealing with the usual younger actors, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy on set. You never know who was going to show up, and then they'd all want to get killed some special way, and it was. I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't mind. But yeah, I mean, it was just a blast. All the people that Rob brought together, and all the people from his past and stuff, and just to get to work with him and be one of the Michaels, it's just a fantastic honor. Yeah.
Am I too loud? Should I just not use it? Is that okay? All right. There is one gentleman who unfortunately is not with us today, and that's George Wilbur, who we lost earlier this year. I was wondering if any of you met George either through working with him on one of your films, Tom and Michael, or just through the convention circuit. If anybody had any memory of him they'd like to share, and then just let's just give her a quick round of applause for George, because he's a great guy. Does anyone have any stories to share? No, we don't have any.
I think we've all had the opportunity to meet George. I think some of these guys knew him a little bit better than I did. But I think you'll see when you look at this panel of all these gentlemen up here, there's a tremendous amount of respect between all of us, and we all have respect for those who preceded us, and we all have support for those of us who've worked around us. So anytime we lose one of this fraternity, it's really a sad thing, and it makes you realize more and more how precious time and life is. And so for me personally, I'm grateful to have met him before he passed and to have been able to carry on the legacy of what he and all these other gentlemen have created.
I knew George very well. Dick Warlock and I are members of the Stunt Association. In fact, he brought me in to do the Michael, to do the Jason character. But I knew George. I went to his memorial too. I knew him pretty well. I knew him for years and years. In fact, his kids were in grammar school when we went and did a career day and talked about stunt work and being stunt guys. George, and it's not George Wilbur, it's George P. Wilbur. George P. Yes, you gotta remember that. He always said George P. Wilbur. But he's a great guy. He had a great career, and just like James says, we all really miss him. We all knew him, and we thought a lot about George.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Dick Warlock and Tom and I, we were all in the Stuntmen's Association at the same time with George. So it wasn't just Halloween, we actually got to work with George on a lot of different films over the years. He's just a super humble, nice guy and a hell of a stuntman. We're gonna miss him.
He's also the only one with his own Family Guy episode, as far as I know. Have you guys seen that? Is this a real thing?
Can I tell us a George story? Anyway, part 4 is already finished, or 5. And 5's finished. Don has already done that, right? So we're working together, he and I, on a Married with Children. And he said to me, "You're Dick Warlock, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How come you don't do these conventions with us?" And so I said, "I don't know what you mean." And after he explained it all to me, I said, I don't think I want to get involved with that. And it was about a year later that I got a call from Tony Timpone from Fangoria Magazine inviting me to come down to LAX, to the airport here, and do my first con years ago. So anyway, that's how I got started doing cons. Well, I ran into Wilbur at the stunt office, and we got to talking, and I knew he'd done part 4, and so I asked him, I said, "Did you ever watch the first 2 films?" And he said, "I don't care what the hell you guys did." So that's my Wilbur story. I mean, I love the guy. He's a great guy. I knew him for years, actually. So anyway, that's my George story.
Sorry, they were messaging me an update that is not relevant to right now, so don't worry about it. Did Bradley join us? I can't see everyone down there. Brad, you here? Woo! There he is, okay. Now, one thing you did that no one of these other gentlemen were able to do
Got Loree.
is kill Jamie Lee Curtis, kill Laurie Strode. A, what the hell? And B, talk about shooting that scene, because that is an iconic and shattering moment for the series.
Well, my favorite part of that scene, of course, is where she kisses me before she falls to her death. I wasn't crazy about killing her off, but I really enjoyed messing up the scene, so we had to keep shooting the kiss over and over. No, she was ready to say goodbye to the franchise at that time, and we were just very fortunate. She only owed 30 seconds of non-dialogue screen time, and she said, "Whatever you can shoot in a long weekend." And she bought everybody a crew gift, and you know, she donates all her money to the Children's Hospital in LA here for the terminally ill kids, which is quite a valiant effort. And no, it was just an honor to get to meet her. She was so kind to my girlfriend and I. Let us hang out in her trailer with her, and she kept giving my girlfriend big sister advice about how to deal with me as a boyfriend. Got me in trouble though the day that we were going to shoot the scene. My girlfriend came to work with me to take the truck, and Donna Keegan's Jamie's stunt double had told me Jamie won't shoot that scene the way it's written, where she kisses Michael before she falls to her death. So I didn't think I had to explain anything. So as we're unloading the gear out of the truck, Jamie runs up, and right in front of my girlfriend, she goes, "I think we should shoot the scene like this," and she gives me a big dip and lays one. Wow, did I have to answer for that when I got home from work that day? Anyway, it all worked out, and I'm sorry Jamie didn't come to this show, but I hope you get to see her again one day. And it was just a real, I mean, for the rest of my life, I have these great memories of working with all these fine people.
And Chris, are you with us, Chris? There he is. Okay. So my vision goes about to James, and then it's just a sea of faces. Talk about. We recently hosted a screening. Did anybody go to the 25th anniversary that we did of H2O in Hollywood last month? No. Humbling. But I've seen the film with the crowd several times. Seen all these films with crowds several times, and there's nothing like the applause at the end when she chops your head off, which must be nice in a weird way, I guess. I don't know. Just that was you in that moment, right? It wasn't the paramedic actor.
So I shot every scene in the movie except that one.
Oh. They didn't want to really lop your head off.
That was just an effect shot. No, but we knew like 2 weeks prior to filming, I knew about the paramedic switch because the deal was Jamie wasn't going to do H2O unless she got to finish the franchise at that point, and the producers weren't going to let the franchise die, so they made a deal, and that's how that whole switch mechanism came about, and that's why you had such limited time.
Right.
And so she got what she wanted, we wrapped it up, and then the franchise still continued, so we kind of had our cake and ate it too.
Well, then talk about the other moment that always gets the crowd, which is definitely, I assume must be you, the one-handed ceiling drop.
So that moment, which became an iconic moment, was not pre-planned. We were actually shooting all the lead-ups, and then Steve was sitting there going, how are we going to come about? You're going to come from around the corner? You're going to rise up? What are we going to do? And he looked up, and the ceiling was fairly high, and there was a water pipe about a foot lower than the ceiling itself, and he goes, can you get up in there? And I'm like, give me a ladder, let's try it. And I stuffed myself up there, and 30 minutes later, it was on film. That's how it works sometimes. You get the happy accidents.
And Michael Lerner, we got you here. There he is. All right, Michael Lerner, everyone. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, you got to kill your dad. Is that true?
Yeah, there was a scene there. He played the orderly, and I chased him down the hall, chasing after Paul Rudd, and they closed the gate on him, and I got to push his head through the bars, and then the whole bars falling. And initially we did that, and they used a piece of meat that went through. You won't see on the movie, but there was actually a piece of meat that fell with chunks. But I guess it was a little too gross to use on the movie. But one of the fun parts was working with my dad over the years. He was a stuntman too. Was many a times I got to kick his ass, and many a times he got to kick my ass in a lot of different shows. So the payback was a bitch, and when he was underneath the bars, I purposely stepped on him, and then I kept going.
Did you guys keep like a tally? Did you guys keep like a tally? Who killed who more? Who got to kick whose ass more?
I think I killed him more than he killed me over the years.
A hero to every adolescent young man watching Hollywood series. We saw Mr. Courtney's head be very definitively crushed last year. There wasn't a paramedic this time. They had the mask off. The Haddonfield PD let Laurie keep the mask for some reason. That was your head. You're dead. But Michael will be back. I think we can all agree. There's currently a bidding war, I guess, for the series. So for each and every one of you, not that we want any of you, we'd love to have all of you back, of course, but assuming it's some newer stuntman or actor to take over the role, what's some advice you would give him or her? Why not? Advice for another Michael. If there's another Michael, if they keep the series going. Advice for anyone taking the
Keep your mouth shut.
If they come to you for the role, just tell them you're not available and you can give them my phone number.
That's it. Only 2 pieces of the night. Oh man, they're fucked. I am gonna turn it over to you guys for a few questions. We do have another panel at 1, so we can't go too long. But if you guys have a few questions, I saw your hand already. Yes, sir.
This is for, I wouldn't say Airon Armstrong. Do you feel like you may be the next Michael with how amazing your role was? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that was probably one of the best parts of that entire movie.
It was.
I appreciate the sentiment, but I have no idea what the future holds.
Not even for the TV show they're trying to do right now?
No one has contacted me for such a appearance.
Okay.
But I think if you all go online today and just hashtag the crap out of it, maybe you can see that happen. So it's in your hands. Thank you, though.
Right here.
First off, thank all of you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. If you don't have an answer, that's fine. But I'm very curious to know from each one of you what your personal favorite kill is from your movies. If you have.
I had one that didn't show up until just a couple of years ago where I killed Dr. Death. That when I get out of the river and I'm on the slab for a year, and he does the tattoo on me, which is eternal life or whatever. But on Halloween, above me was this rock with a point on it, right? And it was moving. And when I come back to life, the rock stopped. And he comes over to me, I grab him by the throat, pick him up, break his back, throw him on the altar, and I put the rock through his chest. That was kind of favorite. They just now put it back in that I've heard. I haven't seen it.
Don't show that thing in front of me.
Favorite kill.
Everybody knows what my favorite scene was, right? The hot tub scene. No, not me. I never saw those. I never saw them. She had her back to me all the time. I mean, the whole time. And when I finally got to see the film, I said, oh my God, those are beautiful. They were.
I think Dick Warlock put the D in Dirty Old Man. I actually have, as far as kills go, there's kind of 2 for me, because in 2018, there's the window kill. And if I were going to kill somebody, that's exactly the way I do it. Quietly, efficiently, get in, get out, get it done, and just make her pay a little bit along the way. But the Cameron kill, the snapping of the neck on the stairs, that was just, it was so gratifying. That little son of a bitch deserved it. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I'd have to say that I got 2 also. The nurse kill in H2, but also Big Joe Grizzly.
Well, I think it was rather unusual, but to be able to kill somebody with a shotgun, impaling him in the door, that was significant.
I think for me was the Corey Cunningham's mother kill. That was that was on the extended release, and there was a much longer version of that, and I got to throw our double through a cabinet full of porcelain knickknacks and stand over her body as she pled for her son not to know what just happened, and little did she know that it was her son who did it. That was a super intense and beautiful scene, the way that our DP shot it with David. Michael's a genius, and him and David just got in there and made it so artistic. So I think that's on the extras. I love that kill so much, but there's even a more extended, more beautiful version of that as well that I would love to see one day. I didn't technically get to kill anybody. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but I appreciate you allowing me to sit here with you even though I haven't killed anybody. But designing the kills on kills, I was gonna say the same thing. The Cameron death, that whole sequence is so
enjoyed doing that with you, Jim, and it's so emotionally impactful because you have Allison there witnessing every moment of the gruesome nature of it, so it magnifies the power of the whole thing. So I would say the Cameron kill as well.
For me, I think the favorite kill was Adam when I stab him and lift him up. And it's probably not for the reasons you would think, although it was a nice scene with him twitching in the air. Really, the scene had nothing to do with him. And that's why I liked it. He was an incidental kill. And the entire time I was looking at Jamie. And it was all to get in her head and just mess with her. So that probably was the most impactful.
Well, we talked about the Laurie Strode death, but I have to say that one, of course, because it's so unique. And but if I had to pick a second one, I would tell you that the chopping of Katie Sackhoff's head at the top of the stairs, and I just thought it looked so realistic. You know, when I watched the film, it just kind of freaked me out. Plus, I love Katie, and but I would say that'd be my favorite kill.
My personal favorite was impaling the father in the basement into the electrical box and his head exploding. And then my second one was in the barn, impaling her on the farm machine. If you remember that, it's actually a scene where I put my hands up. It's almost like a moment of compassion. And then I pushed her onto the machine and then turned it on. Shoot her up.
I didn't do any kills. James did all that brilliant work. So.
Doug, I'm sorry, I missed you before, and I'm sorry, I apologize. I did want to ask about you. One of your earliest, if not your first, was stunts on Freddy vs. Jason, correct?
Yes.
So what was it like to come back all these years later and do another Masked Madman? You did up with Jason, right?
I did the ending. I ended the movie as Jason and Freddy vs. Jason. It was. I was a huge Halloween fan and huge Freddy Krueger fan, so working with Robert Englund was pretty unbelievable for me as a young guy. And there was a movie in 2015, Halloween Returns, that I was up for, and it never got made. So the fact that Airon called me to double James was pretty thrilling to finally put that mask on, even if it was only for one quick moment. But it was great watching James on set, because I feel like he really took the character up to a whole nother level, and watching him work was pretty amazing. It was incredible.
I've got to say, Doug saved my ass twice, all right? First of all, that jump off the SUV, when Airon and I were rehearsing in the soundstage, Aaron's like, look, we're going to double you off this. I jumped off once just to show him I could do it. And I also in my head went, yeah, I'm not doing this, you know. So Doug, because Doug, this is what a good stunt double does, is they're there for the moments when you really need somebody to take the bruise or the hit or the broken bone or the concussion. And speaking of concussions, in stunt fighting, you go hard to the body because the camera needs to see the physicality of physical fighting. But to the head, you never hit somebody in the head. You can be 10 feet away, swing your fist, guy snaps his head, looks like you just knocked the crap out of him, but you haven't even touched him. It's all about how you sell the fight to the head. But David wanted to see what would happen if that bag of bricks, you know, the rubber bricks, which were heavy, was how it, and Airon explained to him, no, it doesn't work that way. David came to me, I said, no, it doesn't work that way, David, but he wanted to see it. So Airon and I stepped out to the side. Now, my sparring partner in college was a 285-pound super heavyweight that Joe Frazier picked up. So I know what a big punch feels like, right? Airon very deftly clipped the top of my head, and it was like, ooh, that was a big punch. And Airon right away goes, no, you're not doing it. So Doug was so respectful when he came out. He's like, look, I don't want to take anything away from you. I don't want to take credit for anything. I'm just glad to be here. Anything I can do to serve, which is the attitude you want from your stunt double, which is the attitude everybody wants on a movie set. So they call Doug out to take the hit with the bag, and it's not going to work, but David wanted to see it. And Doug's walking out, and he's going, hey man, very respectfully, And I'm like, oh, bro, don't worry about it, man. Have fun. and Doug told me, and I watched it, and it's like, whoa, she wound up, hit Doug in the side of the head, and his knees buckled, and I went, dude, you just earned your pay today. and Doug told me, it's like, dude, she got the crap out of you, didn't you, bro?
We do have time for a couple more. Yeah.
Well, I have one about Stunt doubling someone. I was doing this movie called Down the Long Hills, and Burt Kennedy, who had worked with John Wayne, and he directed War Wagon and all that. And in the film, he has to wrestle a bear. And they said, we can't let you do that. I go, well, I started out in the business wrestling bears. They go, yeah, but he's like 1,800 pounds, you know, it'd be just a little mishap. So Dave Cass was the coordinator on it. And they looked all over Hollywood and they go, okay, you can wrestle a bear, but you're gonna have to use a different name. So I took my wife's maiden name, Dick Ansel, like Dick Armstrong. Anyway, we've been shooting and Dave comes to me and he goes, Don, we have a problem. I go, what is that? He goes, well, Dick Ansel is not a very good double for Don Shanks. The editor don't think you're very good at that. I go, how else could I double myself? You know? Anyway, not being able, the editors always have something to say.
Mr. Lerner, I was wondering, in a scene where you're chasing your dad down the hallway and you kill him in the gate, it looks like you're running there. Was that your choice or the director's choice, and what's the story behind it?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. Of course, I can date a girl 6 weeks and forget her name too.
And she's here. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for being here. I wonder how's the acting process of you becoming the character once that you put the mask and the camera starts rolling, and if you brought like some things in your acting that you added up to the character while filming.
Who's that for?
Anyone? Yeah.
I'll find out.
Well, for me, and I think every one of us works differently. I mean, you know, acting like music, like there are processes we all share, and then there are processes that are very unique. There was a great old character actor named Ted Knight who, back in the 80s, gave me an incredible gift. He recognized that I was an actor for some reason, and he said, look, I'm gonna give you, he told me, I'm gonna give you a gift. He said, if you wanna be a good actor, learn how to emulate. Emulate the bartender, emulate your mother, emulate the guy walking down the street. But don't pay attention to the way their hand moves or try to imitate their voice. He said, reach inside their soul, and if you can reach inside their soul and grab them, you will naturally move the way they move. You will naturally speak the way they speak. So for me, because in our universe, it went from 1978 to 2018, for me, the technique that I used is I watched the 78 version one time. There's a moment when Nick Castle, as the shape, was walking camera left to camera right in a backyard, and in my head I went, I got it. Whatever that was, all I was doing when I was watching that film was reaching into what Nick Castle had so, you know, incredibly creatively, you know, manifested. And then what happens is all the years of stunts and sports and martial arts, the yoga, the meditation, you know, the plant medicine in South America, the Native American rituals I had in North America, the rituals I've done with African shaman. I mean, all these things come together, and I just allowed that to filter through the experience of what it meant to be in this body. So for me, it was a very spiritual experience, but we all have different approaches to get the same, you know, to the same end.
Thank you. I never heard the question, but from what he was saying is how you get under that character? Yes, there you go. Yeah. Again, it's Deborah giving me that video. Well, when I watched it, I remember the closet scene with the hanger in his eye, right? That kind of thing. And he fell down. And then they cut to the doorway with Laurie and that little boy. And in the background, Nick raised up and turned his head slightly like that. And I thought, that for me was it. Mechanical, that was very mechanical, because I didn't get a lot out of his walk and that kind of stuff from the video I saw. You know, there was no of that mechanical stalking kind of thing. So that's what I used to get into character. Besides, when I put the mask on, that's what I did. Every time I put it on, I breathed that breath and remembered that up and the head turn.
Well, when we were shooting the film, I'd get made up in the makeup trailer and I'd walk to set. I'd put the mask on. And we're filming at night and the neighbors got upset because when Michael's walking through the neighborhood, it's like, who's next? But there is something when you put that mask on because it's almost like being in a chamber because you're away from everybody. All you can hear is your own breathing and what's going on, but I mean, it's, you know, you're kind of in there on your own.
Yeah, well, for me, I just I watched all the Michaels that went before me and kind of just wanted to bring a little bit of them to carry on the Michael, and that's what I did, you know, and just tried to kill people the best way I could.
I'm a stuntman like everyone else here, really. And I'd been a stuntman for a good 10 years. I had done the Friday the 13th double Jason. And when I was asked to do that too, as a stuntman, your experience is to double somebody. You see your actor you're supposed to double. You try to mimic what he's doing, and you catch on to what these things are. And then you do the action, and you do the action as if you were him. Now that's what a stuntman does. And I'd had experience enough that, okay, you're gonna do this maniac killer who stalks people and kills people. And I have an idea what that is, and I'm doubling somebody. And that's kind of the way I approached it. And I think it worked for me. If it worked for you, then I'm happy.
I think for me it was a combination, really, of everything that you had heard here, and I thankfully had got to watch James do some scenes, and part of our film was the concept of this transference of evil. And so, you know, Rowan's character, Corey Cunningham, he was a young man who had been put down by society and wrongfully accused of some things and kind of ostracized. And as he was becoming his own, and as he was taking a piece of this evil for a moment, he started to become more confident and more angsty. So I think internally for that character, I wanted to play it like an angsty teenager, but it still had to mimic the movements that we had seen before. And I was able to borrow that from what James was doing on the movie earlier. But holy shit, when you put that mask on and you start breathing, there definitely is something to that. There's a change. And it felt just as good to put it on as it did to take it off after some of those scenes, that's for sure.
For me, it's just all about tacos. I imagine a really delicious taco in the rest of the season. No, my interpretation of the character is kind of someone who's free of thought and judgment and emotion and is just still just perceiving reality, and then something catches his attention over here and it's to move over there and do his art over there. It's just, he doesn't know necessarily that, you know, stabbing someone 10 times with a knife is wrong or bad or violent. It's just his art form. So, but he doesn't really care one way or the other. So it's just a sense perception and a clear action. So tried to be as still as possible and just have one action at a time. And of course, inspired by everyone who came before me and looking at the aesthetic of that and some of the natural movement of that. And then like Jim talks about, like moving from the Dantian or the Hara, the lower center. And because our trilogy stemmed from after the original film, I looked at Nick and Dick and tried to kind of do a little amalgamation of that, and then also looking at Jim as where the character is ending up, and then tried to create a little bit of a bridge between them.
Yeah, so I have a different story here. Mine's a little bit of the George P. Wilbur approach of why do I care what happened before, and it's not my fault. When I was in the production meeting, they were talking amongst themselves and saying, we're not gonna do what came before. So when I landed the role, I'm like, we're not doing what came before, why should I watch any of them? So I didn't. So I had to kind of discover on my own the pacing of this character and the intent that you need in the scenes. So Michael is not in a hurry, but he's gonna get you. Okay, he's coming and it's just relentless. And I landed on, and you guys have probably heard this, I landed on like a big cat. If you've ever seen a tiger lock eyes on prey, it's frightening. So I would do that, and I would growl under my breath inside the mask and lock on whoever it was and very deliberately come after them. It's a challenge, you guys, when you've got no dialogue, no facial expression, and just your physicality. And the mask gives you a portion of what you need, but if you don't have intent behind it, it doesn't work. And I really had to learn that kind of on the fly. But I had one advantage, which is a horrible story from day one of filming. We were at the rest stop, and the girl and the mother were doing the exterior scene, and they run up to the bathroom, and the women's room is locked, so they go in the boys' room. So their shot is to go up, jiggle the door, it doesn't open, they start over, and then they were gonna cue me and I was gonna crack the door open.
Attention Halloween 45. In 10 minutes, the Halloween 3 panel will be beginning with the legend himself, Mr. Tom Atkins. Again, at 1 o'clock in the next 10 minutes, the Halloween 3 panel will be starting in the Q&A room.
All right. So what happened is they're supposed to jiggle the door, go to the next one and go in. They're gonna cue me, I crack the door open, you see Michael's in there. We never ended up using this, but what happened in reality is I was in the bathroom with the PA, with the radio. They came walking up, the little girl did not know I was in the bathroom and she swung the door wide open and went completely pale, and we were shut down for an hour trying to calm her down so we could do the scene. And after an hour, she kind of looked at me and went, you're not that bad, you're okay. And we went on. So I knew that was literally the first shot I did, and I knew the effect from that of kind of the mask and the positioning, so.
I essentially watched all the Halloweens and then went back to the first two because I think Nick and Dick they're my Michael Myers. When I think of Michael Myers, that's who I think of. I thought the sequel was as good a sequel as I'd ever seen. If it had been the first movie, it would have been just as popular as the original. I just studied Nick and Dick's movements. I wanted to ape and emulate them as closely as possible because I just found them to be so creepy. You know, I mean, the guy is just so purposeful and methodical, slow and certain, but you know, eventually he's gonna catch you and kill you.
Same thing, I pretty much just rented 3 or 4 of the films to get an idea. When I went in to try out for the part, you know, George Wilbur and I both did 6. One of the things they made me do is that scene where I think Dick was talking about it, where you sit up and the head turns. I wasn't in really good shape, that's not easy to do. You're not used to that. Another thing I really liked was I tried to add a little bit of flair myself, like I said, when I lifted up my hands, that was kind of being tilted the head and then pushed her on the thing. Maybe show just an ounce of compassion. And one of the best things about that is over the years, I've done a lot of prosthetics where I had to wear stuff, 4 or 5 hours of makeup, and you're stuck wearing it all day. You're literally eating through a straw during lunch and stuff. And Michael Myers, it was nice to be able to take that mask off in between scenes.
The first horror movie I saw was Halloween 2, and I watched that over and over and over and really loved what Dick did. Like he said, it was that mechanical movement. So I was already a fan to the point when I got the call to double James. And when I was on set, and I saw 2018, I thought he was awesome in it. But I was on set just watching him do what he did, and I tried to, you know, I don't want to say mimic, but, you know, just get that sense of what he did and incorporate it in the little that I did.
Unfortunately, we do have to wrap it up because, as our friend told us, there is a panel with Halloween 3 starting in less than 10 minutes now. So, a big round of applause for all the mental models up here. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. They will be back at their tables. If you didn't get your question, I apologize. But they will be here. So, thank you all so much.
I just want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for being our fans. Because without you, we wouldn't be here. And